Invincible Mumu by Han Jung-Wheelia. Chapter 109. The Choice. Part 1. Dominating Hegemony. Overlord Blood Martial God. Even now, 17 years later, it was a presence that had not disappeared from the people's minds. And it has been so for decades. The world now was peaceful, and the era of the forces of evil had passed. Still, the memory of the dominating hegemony was one of a sea of blood. At that time, the 9 great sects one union and the 6 great families who lead the Central Plains had tried to fight them, but they couldn't do anything about them, not the Lord who led them. During that time, the people called it the darkest period. Nonsense. Mumu's father is that man? Now even those who had stayed silent regarding Mumu turned speechless. This wasn't something they just ignored and moved on from. Even if it were simply a leader of an evil sect, a rogue scholar, or something similar, Mumu was already at risk, but now, this was too much. The public would hate him. The fact that his bloodline was that of the overlord blood martial god would overturn the entire Murim. Even those called the greatest masters of the time had gone after all his progeny, innocent children, to ensure no new monster would rise. And for there to not only be Mumu, but a few other children left alive? This would raise hell in Murim. Moilwa looked at Mumu with a serious face. He looked puzzled as if he didn't recognize the name. Well, nothing can be done. She said she would be on his side no matter who Mumu's father was. However, this was too much. Even the imperial family had considered that man dangerous, and it was their greatest achievement when the army was mobilized to take them down. I should have guessed that it was them when their plans aimed to kill all the students. Moilwa's head began to ache. And it was the same for Jin Hyuk. He and his whole family had shown strong support for Mumu, whatever the secrets of his birth were. But this was too much. Father, what did you do? The child he had accidentally helped during exile was the son of the overlord blood martial god. This was absurd to even know. And if this fact went out, his whole family would be in danger. No matter what they said, they would be killed. And Mumu said, "Overlord blood martial god? Who is that?" At Mumu's words, the expressions of Jia Muqian and Harayan changed. They did feel it was strange when he asked for his father's name, but not knowing even the man and his existence was too much. Is he really someone who doesn't know? At that moment, Jin Hyuk spoke. This cannot be. Even if you become everyone's enemy, I said that our family will support you, but if you are that man's child, you and everyone will be in danger. What do you mean? He was the head of the forces of evil, and the greatest achievement of this era was that man's death. Achievement? This is something which has to be not known. Not just the people but even the imperial palace and other groups, if they come to know about your birthright, they will kill your whole family. Jin Hyuk's face was soaked in a cold sweat. It was worth noting that this wasn't solely due to his parry for Mumu. His father was the one who had raised the child of a monster, and now this would end up hurting his whole family. Kill our family? Mumu, it is as Jin Hyuk said. Even a mere member of the forces of evil is considered to be dangerous. People now are still scared of the name Overlord Blood Martial God. Moilwa also expressed her affirmation of Jin Hyuk's words, and Mumu, who didn't know everything, had to know the truth. Moilwa knew there was no right or wrong here, but things changed when Mumu's father was revealed as Murim's greatest villain. That man had killed many people and was an icon of fear. Jia Muqian narrowed his eyes as he was convinced of this truth. He didn't even know of his lineage. That was why he kept interfering. Then for some reason, Harayan discovered this man, and he coincidentally ended up defeating Kong Mui, a person who knew about the other jade plaques. His clever mind was on the right track. He was being honest. That was why he had been asked about the jade plaque. He asked because he didn't know. I don't know why there are only 4 jade plaques with numbered names, but if he survived the war and lived as an orphan, everything falls into place. The fact that he was an adopted child wasn't to hide his identity. It was simply an honest man raising a child, unaware of his power and existence. A predator who didn't know of his own existence. How could such interesting things happen? Jia Muqian smiled. Instead, this was good. If he didn't know of his own existence, then he couldn't have known about his father's death. At that time, Jin Hyuk pointed to the two of them and said in a trembling voice, "Mumu. I am on your side for all time, but for this one time, follow my words. Break the jade plaque and hide your identity." Hide my identity? Right. Otherwise, our family will be in danger. At Jin Hyuk's sincere voice, Mumu frowned. The fact that he said he would support him was something he did before knowing how dangerous Mumu's father was. Mumu then looked at Moilwa. It was to know if she had the same opinion as Jin Hyuk. It was then. Lord, your father and mother were the true masters of forces of evil and heroes of that era. Your whole family was murdered by the vicious factions of the forces of justice who had ambushed them with a simultaneous attack. They lost their lives to the forces of justice? At Jia Muqian's words, Mumu frowned. There is a saying that a person who knows heaven's rule and filial piety cannot be with those who killed their parents under the same sky. But they are trying to kill us and deny the Lord's blood, which is still alive and burning hot. Shut it. Don't bring Mumu into danger. You paid the price for killing innocent people. Jin Hyuk yelled at Jia Muqian, who was trying to rile up Mumu. At this time, Harayan looked at Jin Hyuk and spoke sneeringly. Innocent people? Huh. And did the forces of justice only kill the guilty? What? Look at the actions of forces of evil. What is so different between us? Was it for justice that they feared one man and killed all those close to him or had blood ties with him? From old men to infants. Didn't they also kill innocent people to get rid of their own emotions? That. Jin Hyuk couldn't answer. It was because it reminded him of war where many people were mobilized. And like Moilwa said, there was no point arguing who was right and wrong. In the end, don't they get rid of everyone? Jin Hyuk was confused. He had been thinking about what was right all his life. But like Harayan said, could a faction that was afraid of one person act so terrifyingly to kill everyone related to that person? Their actions were the same as the forces of evil. But even if there was no right and wrong, the world was full of politics. And when they find out about Mumu's father, his true father, people would not simply pass it off with, "Ah, he was a kid at the time, it is all right." No, they will be scared to death. They would suspect that Mumu, whose real parents were murdered, would come for revenge. Shit. Jin Hyuk looked at Mumu. What was the correct answer to this situation? In the end, he had vowed to support his brother, and now he was persuading him to hide his true identity in fear of his own family getting killed. Is this destiny? Jin Hyuk thought. This was a fate he couldn't escape from. Now everything depends on Mumu. The fate of himself, his father, mother, and older brother all depended on Mumu's decision. I want to stop him, but if it was himself in Mumu's position, would he endure that his father was killed? Even if the father was a man who did terrible things, would that change anything between them? This was a common fate for those who share blood. Mumu cannot be stopped from doing it. Since my father raised Mumu, we have been pulled into his fate. Realizing this, Jin Hyuk sighed. He could no longer intervene. Moilwa smiled at the look on Jin Hyuk's face. Right. He did look upright but eventually gave up. She understood him. In the end, Jin Hyuk was the kind of person who thought about Mumu before himself. So now everything is up to Mumu. Even if his father was the overlord blood martial lord, there was only one conclusion Mumu could come to. Mumu. You decide what you want. I decide? Right. As you heard, your father was considered the world's enemy as he had killed people in his quest to become the ruler of Murim. He died due to the wrath of others, so, understandably, you would seek revenge for him. But if your true identity is revealed, you and the people around you will be in danger. And you will have to endure that. Didn't I tell you before? Right and wrong don't matter. After all, this is due to the relationship between the two sides. However, the outcome of the decision is something you will have to bear responsibility for. Moilwa calmly told him this. Actually, no matter what path Mumu took, she knew it would be a thorny one. In the end, if he chose his father, the adoptive family that took care of him would be put in danger, and he would have to turn his back on them. But if he chose to cut off the ties with his father, he would have to fight with those who followed him. You are born with such a terrible fate. Moilwa looked at Mumu with sad eyes. Who would have known that Mumu's fate, which had looked bright, would instead be as stormy as the sea? What choice would Mumu make? Thud. At that moment, Jamukyan slammed his forehead to the floor and said, Lord, we must not forget the resentment of your father and your family members whose souls are wandering without rest after having their lives taken unjustly by the forces of justice. If the Lord forsakes his destiny to join them and yields to the enemy. Wait. Mumu interrupted his words. At this, Jamukyan looked at Mumu with hopeful eyes. Lord, I have something to ask. Is the purpose of Senior and the other men to seek revenge for my father? At Mumu's question, Jamukyan went silent. He knew his response would be crucial to getting Mumu on his side. So he spoke with a voice of determination. Along with revenge for blood, it is also to achieve dominion over the world. If the Lord gives us the courage, we will obey you unconditionally. Every man dreamt of conquering the world. And he thought it would be even more fascinatingly possible with strength like Mumu's. Conquer the world? Right. If Lord, then you will take revenge, conquer the world and kill a lot of people? That. Jamukyan couldn't respond to that. To subdue the world, sacrifices would have to be made. How could one achieve dominance without sacrifices and striking fear in the enemy? It is a natural procedure. Mumu spoke with a sullen voice. Then it isn't revenge but just repetition of the past. Killing and dying again. Do you think such a thing is dominance over the world? If that is the case, I can see what happened. Lord. How can? I am just stating my thoughts. What is wrong with it? At Mumu's words, Jamukyan couldn't help but feel disappointed. How could a weak cub have been born under such a fierce tiger? He got influenced. Jamukyan understood the reason. Mumu didn't know about his true blood till now. As he had grown up under a scholar who would only discuss such things, this was bound to happen. Lord. Are you sure about not taking revenge for your father? Well. At Mumu's tone, Jamukyan came out with stronger rhetoric. The Lord hasn't been recognized by the 8 evil families yet. If the Lord doesn't take over the vision of the former Lord, the others will become the ones to inherit it. So it happens even if it isn't me? Yes. Mumu touched his chin at this. Now that is a bit difficult. The 8 evil families have been waiting for this moment for 17 years. Lord, you grew up without knowing anything, and as you fraternized with the enemies, you didn't even feel enraged at what happened, but we cannot stop. I understand that from seeing Senior. That they will never stop. Mumu stroked his chin and said. Let me change the question. I think I understand why you want revenge. Then if I tell you to not touch people around me and myself, to take revenge with the least possible sacrifices and to rule the world without touching innocent people, will you do it? At Mumu's words, Jamukyan snorted inside. They wanted bloody revenge, a vicious annihilation to avenge the killing of their blood. That meant many must die. What would revenge even mean by killing less? Lord. No, you will not become the Lord. But things aren't as simple as you think. If you want to become a different kind of Lord, you should seek the counsel of. Yes, I know. Mumu interrupted Jamukyan's words. Then he lowered his hand from his chin. You don't plan to listen to me at all. Jamukyan didn't respond. But everyone knew what this meant. Mumu looked at Jia Muqian and sighed. Phew. We cannot do much then. The question is answered. Let's just talk. Talk? I will be the lord for senior and my father's subordinates. In exchange, you all will follow me unconditionally. Jia Muqian frowned. He knew what kind of tendencies Mumu had. Just because he was willing to be the lord and asked them to obey him didn't mean that he would lead them in the direction they wanted to go in. And what was his attitude? It was annoying, but he said he would be their leader. You are someone who will become the lord. If the lord doesn't carry out the revenge correctly, then someone from the 8. Before he could say it, Mumu walked closer. Then, carefully, he grabbed Jia Muqian's head so he wouldn't crush it. Clench. It still felt like Jia Muqian's head would explode. Mumu spoke in an emotionless voice to Jia Muqian, who was in pain. I think you are misunderstanding something here. What do you mean? Conquering the world for revenge is something I can do alone. Chapter 110. The Choice. Part 2. Alone is enough? Mumu's words almost made Muqian forget about the pain he felt from his wounds. It was the first time he's heard someone say such arrogant words. No matter how he tried to interpret them, Mumu's words sounded like he could take revenge and conquer the world alone. How could he say such wild words? It was odd. Despite Mumu saying it, it didn't seem stupid. Instead, it sounded plausible. No. Jia Muqian, who was almost convinced, shook his head. Even if the one called the god of martial arts descended and all of the orthodox sects joined hands, they would not be able to win. Then how would it be possible for this man? Is it to show his conviction? If that was the case, the Mumu was more interesting than the other jade plaque owners. Right now, the Murim is in its heyday. If someone had to go against people in their best conditions, they had to be driven by revenge and a thirst for blood. And Jia Muqian opened his mouth. Lord, if you want to lead the 8 evil families, you need to get recognized by other plaque owners. Recognized? The owners of jade plaque are everywhere around. Tack. Thud. Quack. As he groaned in pain, Mumu let go of his head. Speak properly. Jia Muqian, who fell to the ground, continued to speak after catching his breath. As I said, all the owners of the plaques have the right to be the successor. However, it isn't possible to recognize all of them as lords. So the 8 evil families have put a condition for it. Condition? What is it? It is to inherit his martial arts. Martial arts? Yes. As he had lost his life in the war 17 years ago, the succession of his martial arts was cut off. Moilwa intervened. Are you talking about the martial arts of Overlord Blood Martial God? Yes. His martial arts were known to have reached the supreme point in the world. It is a fact that even the 4 great warriors recognized his skills. Moilwa couldn't deny that. Although that man was known to be the leader of the forces of evil. It was no exaggeration to say that he was feared by all and could even be called the god of martial arts. But all sects had a certain martial that only the leaders could use. Even the Shaolin sect had a martial art only their abbot could use. It could be said that it was the martial art that symbolized the sect. It was natural for Mumu's father to have had one too. But it was odd. Wait, I heard that the succession didn't happen, then how could that be done? At her question, Jia Muqian snorted and spoke while looking toward the library. No matter how many consider him the enemy, do you think he was called the god of martial arts for nothing? Do you think the 4 great warriors are stupid enough to throw away such a precious thing? No. Right. His divine arts are here. They had already verified it. Over the past 8 years, they have discovered it. Moilwa was shocked at how confident the man sounded. No. Why would the academy hold such dangerous things on its premises? Seriously, the 4 great warriors were amazing to keep such a thing in here. Ignoring her, the man continued. The 8 evil families will only recognize the one person who can inherit his martial arts. So you mean they must have the martial arts in their possession to become the Lord? Yes. Currently, there are 2 closest to it, Mule and Mui. They are the closest to inheriting his martial arts as they have the right body. That is why they are the 2 thought to be the Lord. The right body? It means nothing to inherit just the blood if there is no body which can handle his martial arts. Young Lord Musa and Moa didn't inherit it. Therefore, they didn't receive any title nor the right to become the Lord. But Jamukyan thought that Mumu could do it. Because he had strength that went beyond human reasoning. What would happen if he learned the martial arts of that man? Jamukyan was convinced. If that martial art is mastered once more, the Muram will be greeting a new warrior. And with Mumu, there was a high chance of it happening. That was why he knelt for Mumu. But Mumu's determination to become the Lord is different from the other contenders. Perhaps because he was raised under a scholar, it was as if he wanted to keep his purity in his actions. He wanted to be someone who could protect his people. A character which doesn't suit the head of forces of evil. Jamukyan didn't like that one aspect, but it wasn't as if there was no way around it. What Mumu lacked right now were feelings of anger. If there is none, it can be infused in. If he lost important things in the hands of the forces of justice, would Mumu still continue to protect those around him? If given a chance, Mumu could be changed. I will fill in what you lack and turn you into a true warrior of the forces of evil. Jamukyan hid his dark intentions. For now, he will motivate Mumu to become the Lord. Mumu spoke right then. Annoying. At Mumu's words, Jamukyan frowned. Was he saying that the conditions to become the Lord weren't convenient? Mumu continued. I wonder if there is any need to do that. Huh? What? This was supposed to be the best martial arts in the world. Sure, Jamukyan wasn't aware of it, but it was something he believed in at least. It is important to inherit his martial arts. Not just the 8 evil family, but many more would come to support if you have it. It is also necessary to subjugate your enemies with. Mumu shook his head. Jamukyan was starting to get annoyed. Did this guy really want to be the Lord? If you want to be the Lord. If you fail to get their loyalty, then his revenge and aim for world domination will. You are making me say the same thing twice. It is fine. Then it will be better to test whether or not they will be loyal. What do you mean? Mumu approached Jamukyan, who was puzzled. In response, the man hesitated, not knowing what to do, and Mumu said. I told you. I am not a lord because you people need one. At Mumu's words, Jamukyan frowned and said. You can be the Lord, though. Your strength is clearly beyond the realm of humans. You can be called someone who. Tak. Before he could finish, Mumu grabbed Jamukyan and lifted him up. Why? And he carefully put the man on his shoulder. He was shocked and looked at Mumu, who was looking at Jinhyuk and Moilwa. Guys. I will be back. Be back? When they wondered what he meant, Mumu bent his knees and, at the moment as he stepped back, the floor around his legs cracked. Quang! Quang! With the sound of the building's ceiling breaking, Mumu soared into the air. Swish swish! The speed was so fast that it felt like they were soaring and ripping through the air. Jamukyan was losing it. His ears and eyes were hurting despite protecting his body with internal energy. What is this? Jamukyan doubted his eyes for a moment. No, he could not believe this scene in front of him. The height that they had reached made the academy look like it could fit into his palm, and everything around the area was now visible. All the land around looked small, the rivers that moved around its surface looking like tiny streams of water. Looking down, Jamukyan felt utterly lost. Shit. Was this possible? He was already shocked Mumu could jump high, but this was too high. He isn't human. How could any human jump this high with just his muscle strength? He felt dizzy at the speed of the movement until he heard Mumu's words. The demon blood sect, was it? The sect that you said you come from? Where is it? At Mumu's question, Jia felt shocked. Speak up. Jia couldn't speak and just pointed his finger in a direction. At that moment. Pwa. Huh. Mumu suddenly turned in the air, as if it was natural for his body, and moved in the direction Jia pointed. To the southeast of the academy. Located in the Fujian province. There is a place called Huan County in its southern portion. A bit further than that was an area with rough terrain. Surrounded by rugged mountains on all sides, the place was covered with cliffs, and not many people would go there. Not even people escorted by warriors would enter it. The area was surrounded by fog all year round, and if one set foot in the wrong way, they could never get out alive. Dead bodies were often found around the area. Because of the rough terrain, it had become a place that no one would go to and was a place with a secret hidden in it. At the center of the Stone Mountain Cliff, in this place surrounded by cliffs and valleys, was a hidden group. It was one of the strongest Murim groups that were once under the dominating hegemony, which had been taken down 17 years ago. Along with the Demon Blood Sect and Heavenly Killing Valley, they were considered one of the best groups in the 8 evil families. Their strength was comparable to that of Wudong and Mount Hua. They were capable of boasting their strength alongside the strongest people in the world. At the window in the room where the leader of the Demon Blood Sect resides. Jiang took something out and nodded his head. And a middle-aged man with a long scar near his mouth asked him as he stood behind the man. Any news? At that question, Jiang smiled. We are finally reaching the right time. And when it comes? It seems like the one who will be the Lord has finally found it. At those words of Jiang, the middle-aged man trembled. It was his excitement that he couldn't hide. The man clenched his fist and said, "This has brought him closer to being Lord." The prediction of the sect leader was right. Yes. And then, Baek Siem, who assists him, will also be someone close to him. We don't know yet. Muqian has a stronger heart compared to Baek Siem. The middle-aged man smiled brightly at the words of Jiang. As he said, the two were excellent. No matter who succeeded, their sect had nothing to lose. The one aiming to be the Lord in the academy must be working hard. It seems that the beginning of the Great War went wrong at the start, but the more this happens, the more burden Muqian will have to shoulder. It was before he could even finish speaking. Kwang. Huh? The place they were in shook. What is this? At the sudden shuddering of the land, Jiang frowned and looked outside the window. In front of the tower-like place, he could see the land split into lines and someone in the middle. The middle-aged man behind him was also shocked and approached him. That. In their eyes, they saw a muscular young man with someone familiar over his shoulder. The familiar person was none other than Muqian. No, who is he who dares to touch the young master? Pat. Sect leader? Before he could even finish his words, Jiang jumped out of the window and landed near the man. The middle-aged man bit his lips and quickly followed him. Intruder! Seize him! Whoa! Rumble! Meanwhile, hundreds of warriors of the sect came to capture the one who suddenly intruded into their base. Jiang looked at Muqian and the boy. The boy then took Muqian off of his shoulder. Muqian could only stagger before puking his guts out. Quack. It was difficult to understand what was happening. What was certain was that the moment he saw the boy, Jiang felt a strange sensation that couldn't be put into words. An unknown feeling of intimidation went through his body. The boy had done nothing to make him feel that, but all 5 of his senses told him to be alert. Just how did he get here? Their sect was hidden in the roughest terrain and covered with fog. No one could ever enter it, even by accident, but this boy just fell from the sky. From the sky? Jiang looked at the cracked floor between the boy's feet. What is this? His eyes were fluttering in shock. The mist which was supposed to cover the sky was split open. Chapter 111. The Choice. Part 3. Blerg. Jomukyan continued to puke out blood. His stomach and body felt so queasy that he could not even muster the strength to stand up. Although he had protected his body using internal energy, he still felt the pressure as his internal organs tore up from the inside. He couldn't even keep his eyes open on the way here. Despite his bad physical condition, Jomukyan was puzzled. How did the defense circle get pierced like this? To enter the demon blood sect, one had to break through the path of the defense circle. But Mumu simply broke it and flew inside. Any expectations that Mumu would be deflected or rejected entry were utterly shattered. He really isn't human. Everyone in the sect would be shocked to know the defense circle was pierced like this, especially the sect leader. Ah. Jahyeong could be seen in Jomukyan's peripheral vision. It had been around 2 years since he saw this man, but the man still looked the same. But his eyes looking at Mumu were full of cautiousness. As expected, even the sect leader is wary. A sense of intimidation was coming from Mumu. All of his instincts were screaming. Jahyeong was a much more skilled warrior than Jomukyan, so he must feel this more clearly. Mumu then said, "Are you all of the demon blood sect?" At Mumu casually asking that question, those who surrounded him frowned. Of course, not everyone reacted the same way. SRNG. A middle-aged man with a scar on his lips drew his sword. "Who are you? How dare you break into this place with the young master?" Guardian Gakko. The middle-aged man was Gakko, and he was one of the 2 guardians of the sect. He had a hot-tempered personality and was quick to jump into action, yet he was called one of the 3 most talented people in the sect. Mumu answered his question. "I am Mumu." "Mumu? But I asked first. Is this the right place?" At Mumu's words, Gakko became angry. However, he was skilled, so he didn't jump in as his body told him to be wary of the boy. He couldn't just jump in. What is he? Is that man human? Rather than his instincts telling him this, it was as if his 5 senses were being stimulated. This was a feeling which rose when a wild beast appeared in front of you. There was no way that a warrior who was that skilled wouldn't notice Mumu's strength. Gakko's eyes glinted like a tiger's. Yet now, it felt like he was prey in front of his predator. Why does this guy give out this feeling? Gradually making eye contact with Mumu steadily became more difficult. He couldn't avoid the gaze because of his pride and personality, but, little by little, he was beginning to sweat. No way. Jahyeong's eyes trembled. He thought Mumu was just unusual, but this feeling felt too familiar. It was almost as if he was facing him again. The same sense of intimidation gave him the same sense of thrill that he felt 17 years ago. Lord? Overlord Blood Martial God. Jahyeong, whose mind had meandered to the past, opened his mouth after he managed to calm himself down. This is the demon blood sect. Is that so? I came here to check it out. He is the sect leader, Jahyeong. With those words from Jomukyan, the sect leader could guess one thing. Jomukyan was someone who never bowed down to others. If he treated this boy with such respect, he had to be related to their lord. Mumu was it? There was no one with the name Mumu among the possible candidates. Mule, Mui Musa, Muo. Among them Mui was the one that Jomukyan followed. Then Jomukyan spoke. Sect leader, Guardian Gakko, and brothers of the sect, this is young Master Mumu who is another inheritor of that man's blood. Another inheritor? Whisper. At the words of Jomukyan, everyone began to talk. What did he mean by saying that this boy, whose name they were hearing for the first time, was an inheritor of that man's blood? Even the sect leader was reacting the same way. He had never heard of the name Mumu. Mukyan. Jahyeong finally spoke. At this, Jomukyan bowed to him. If Mumu wasn't here, he would have knelt on one knee, put his hands together, and greeted him. At this half-bow, Jiang frowned. He is someone who will be the Lord? At that, Muqian said to Mumu in a careful tone, please show them the jade plaque. At that request, Mumu pulled the plaque he had placed in his pocket. Seeing the plaque, Jiang frowned. This was definitely the same plaque. On its back, the name Mumu was written as well. Mumu. It was clearly engraved. As a result, this complicated things. There was another one? After that man's death, the other followers under him ran to save the man's children, even if it meant sacrificing everything. And they were Mule, Mui, Musa, and Muo. Sadly, Musum had died, but the other 4 were saved. Sect leader, how can this be? Guardian Gakko couldn't hide his shock, clearly unable to believe this situation. It was the first time he's seen such a thing happen. Was there someone hidden from us? The truth behind this can only be known to the one person who risked his life to save the children during the war. Mumu put the jade plaque back in and said, now you know who I am. Despite those words, no one could respond. This made Muqian nervous. But within the next minute, Jiang knelt down on one knee and bowed politely. I am the sect leader of the Demon Blood sect, greeting the young master. Whisper. The other warriors of the sect all followed the example of the sect leader. Even Gakko did the same. We greet the young master. All of the warriors there bowed to him. As they all greeted him, Mumu asked Muqian with a puzzled expression. They aren't calling me the one who becomes the Lord? That is because nothing other than the plaque was recognized. Mule and Mui were recognized by their families. That was why they were referred to as Lord candidates. Nothing could be recognized for Mumu, who only showed his plaque. Is that so? Didn't I tell you? To be recognized, you must inherit that man's martial arts. Yes. I know. I need to check it. At Mumu's words, Muqian clicked his tongue. Although Mumu had the strength beyond the realm of ordinary humans, that wouldn't solve anything. Even their former lord, considered the best in Murim, had fallen to the 4 great warriors, who joined together to kill him. And that was 17 years in the past. The people under the 4 great warriors might have become even stronger now. That was why the 8 evil families planned to create infighting among the 4. Follow that directive. Only then can you lead the 8 evil families. Muqian didn't say that out loud. It was because he thought it would be faster for Mumu to experience it than to tell him outright. And Mumu spoke to the sect leader. Senior Muqian has told me that to earn the loyalty of all of you, my father's subordinates, I had to do something. At Mumu's words, Jiang looked at Muqian. It was because he had just disclosed the entirety of the proceedings to a child he had just met. At that, the sect leader replied as he continued to bow. If you heard it from him, then it is right. Right? But do you have to make it so troublesome? Troublesome? I am here to make people swear allegiance to me without the other stuff. Of course, if you swear allegiance to me, you will have to obey my orders. At Mumu's leisurely words, Jiang's expression went stiff. The other warriors were no different. The blood of the man they once served suddenly appeared out of nowhere and told them to ignore their rules and remain loyal to him? To them, the request from Mumu was nonsensical. Huh. Jiang sighed. Hearing the words of Mumu, he thought of something which happened in the past. In the process of subjugating all the forces of evil sects under him, the Lord did most of it using only blunt force. In the end, fascinated by the power he held, everyone followed that man. But the present was a different era. They need a master and lord who inherited that person's martial arts. If one wanted to lead the 8 evil families, they would have to inherit that man's martial arts. So he decided to politely answer. Young master. If you want to follow in his footsteps and lead us all, and if you want to have us under you. Who made the law that a lord has to follow the standards and rules of the subordinates? At the words of Mumu, the sect leader raised his eyebrows. He didn't know about anything else, but that arrogant attitude greatly resembled his father. Of course, the same went for the other plaque owners. Young master, if young master inherited his blood, all of us would happily come down to you without any disagreement. But 5 people inherited his blood, including you. So you want us to compete? Yes. Take over his martial arts. If you get that martial art of his, even if one doesn't like the young master, they will come under you. Shoo! Mumu held out his hand. Gakko looked angry as his sect leader was made to stop halfway. No matter if the boy in front of him had inherited their lord's blood, how could he act so rude to their sect leader? In the end, Gakko opened his mouth with an angry voice. Young master. The leaders of the 8 evil families, including us, are faithful people who serve the Lord. And the opinions of all. Yes, I know it. But there is something you are mistaken about. Mistaken? I heard your purpose is to take revenge for my father and conquer the world, right? At Mumu's words, the guardian and the sect leader frowned. For what purpose was he asking this? As they were confused, Mumu continued. But if you are trying to do that, I don't need you at all. What do you mean? Mumu leisurely answered. Just accept it that you are saying you want revenge and control over the world, but you don't even realize that all you are doing is create trouble. Young master. In the end, Guardian Gakko burst out, unable to hold back his anger. This kid might have his blood, but he was still 17. How strong must he be to actually come into this place which was under the protection of a strong defensive circle and spew such words? If you cross the line, even if you are the young master. Clench. Mumu clenched his fist, making his deltoid triceps, biceps, and forearm muscles wobble as they swelled up. Bulge. What muscle is that? For a moment, even Gakko felt shocked at the sight. Mumu looked to the northeast and said, that side looks good. A little moderately. With those words, Mumu immediately swung his fist in the direction at an angle slightly higher than the warrior's height. Pang! At that moment, there was a deafening roar, making the warriors feel as if their eardrums would burst. The air in the direction that Mumu had swung his fist towards moved like centric waves. With that pressure, the fog around them had split into the shape of a fan. Quack-quack-quack-wang. A large hole was drilled into the cliff face of the mountain valley surrounding the northeastern corner. No, could it be called a hole? It was a large cavity that was nearly 50 kilometers deep. Everyone who looked at it was shocked. All of them stopped and stared stiffly at the sight. What was it that they were even looking at now? This. Even Gakko felt his legs go weak at this. Was this the power of a human? He looked at Jayong. Even the sect leader looked shocked as he could not take his eyes off the huge hole in the cliff. Because I don't need you, people, at all. At this, he understood what Mumu was hinting at. Huh. This was a different realm from a being wearing human skin. At that moment, Mumu's voice was heard. I am asking this just because I am curious. The martial arts of Overlord blood or something, is it that great? Chapter 112. The Choice. Part 4. At the accommodations in the Heavenly Martial Arts Academy. Yu Jin-sung, a royal inspector and the older brother of Mumu and Jin Hyuk, spoke out in surprise. He looked at Oh Muyang, who was a supervisor, with a puzzled expression. Although Yu Jin-sung was the inspector, Oh Muyang was the one sent as a supervisor here at the academy. However, it was shocking that the man wanted to return to the palace. Why? This situation was clearly turning for the worse as 4 of their men had been killed while they were still in the middle of an investigation. If anything, Oh Muyang should request the imperial palace to send him more manpower. Instead, the man said he wanted to return with his remaining men. And the reason for it was, Samuhyo of the academy needs to be transported to the palace? That was what he said. As Oh Muyang had a higher rank, Yu Jin-sung could not even ask for a reason. Still, it felt strange to take the most relevant and dangerous criminal behind the academy's situation without even finishing the investigation. What the hell is he hiding? There was something about Sam Yuhyo. Otherwise, Oh Muyang wouldn't be acting like this. Did he make some kind of deal during the interrogation? Yu Jin-sung felt very confused as there were too many possibilities that he could think of. But he could not come to a clear conclusion. Still, it was apparent that Oh Muyang's real purpose in coming here wasn't to investigate but to create an incident so that the Imperial Palace would have a pretense to become directly involved with the Academy's inner workings. Oh Muyang, who was packing his things for the return, said, one more thing. Yes? If the investigation is done, there is a student you will have to escort. A student? It is confidential, so if the information is leaked, everyone's life will be in danger. Just who could that be? At Yu Jin-sung's question, Oh Muyang smiled and said, she is the county princess of His Majesty Jin Wang's family. You will need to escort her to the palace. In an unremarkable forest near the West Wind Pavilion. Ma Yanhua was sitting on a rock with both her swords unsheathed as she polished them. She then heard a voice calling out to her from behind. My lady. When she heard a familiar voice, she asked in return. What is it? Are you going to continue staying in the academy? At that question, Ma Yanhua continued to wipe her sword without answering, signifying that she planned to stay here. And the owner of the voice sighed. Things have changed. What changed? Since a member of the Imperial Palace Inspectorate died here, the search for the spies will be exposed alongside your identity. So, what do you want to do? It will be wise to take a step back. At those words, Ma Yanhua put her swords back in their sheaths with a stiff face and then turned her head. We haven't gotten what we wanted yet. For the revival of the sect, the safety of the young lady is more important. Shoo. Ma Yanhua approached the owner of the voice and patted their shoulder. Don't worry. I won't die until I bring the sect back up. My lady. Instead, did you bring that? At her question, the other person looked up, and Ma Yanhua smiled. It's been a long time since I listened to your hymns. At her words, the other person exhaled and then blew. A faint melody immediately filled her ears. Oh Muyang was near the western gate of the academy with his belongings all packed up. He looked towards the east for a moment before a faint whistling sound came, making him turn back to the wagon behind him. This? Deputy Headmaster, Dan Pilhu. That man was such an annoyance. Sam Yuhyo was in the detention wagon, with the reason behind it being Dan Pilhu. As if he wasn't satisfied with utterly destroying his plan, he even broke Sam Yuhyo's dantian. He had taken up the academy's request because of Sam Yuhyo, but this was a mess. He was a step ahead. A broken bone might take time to recover, but a dantian, once broken, was forever lost. Perhaps if you met the right person, even broken bones could be restored to normal, but a dantian was impossible to restore. Oh Muyang shook his head. I shouldn't have taken him lightly. After all, he was someone who was known to be a deadly viper. And he is still strong even now. Oh Muyang decided to deal with this later. There was also Mumu, who had turned both Sam Yuhyo and Kong Mui into a mess, which led to Dan Pilhu figuring out Oh Muyang's plans. He needed a real force to take those two people down. This isn't my sphere of influence. Besides, he had to bring someone strong here, so it's best to retreat for now. Of course, he wasn't simply leaving as he had made a few arrangements. Bring the county princess back to the palace. It was the first assignment he had given out. He had assigned it to Yu Jin-sung, who had started to get suspicious. If that is the order given by the orders given by His Majesty are too. I will escort the criminal behind the incident and bring the lady back. How can you do that? But even if the culprit behind the incident is caught, aren't there those who could have escaped? It is better to distract them with this. Distract them? I will be distracting them by taking the criminal. You will finish the remaining investigations and then bring the princess back. Since the cause was made clear, Yu Jin-sung had no reason to refuse. Oh Muyang had also said that he would become bait, so what more could be said? Still, his mind couldn't deal with it anymore due to the intensity of the given mission. If something goes wrong with the princess's safety, who will answer to His Majesty? He. This was his real goal. At around the same time, in the Demon Blood sect, Mumu asked the gathered warriors, "I am asking because I am curious, so was the martial arts of that man really that great?" Jia Muqian, who was next to Mumu, couldn't answer. He was painfully aware of Mumu's strength. So how could he actually respond after seeing this? This was a strength beyond the realm of humans. Is the competition between the plaque owners even needed? He thought about it objectively. Even if the young lords Mui and Meal were ready for it, would they even be able to stop Mumu's power? He is untouchable. Jia Muqian gulped involuntarily as he saw the clear evidence of strength. What would happen if Mumu's fists were directed at them? Just the thought was terrifying. I will fill what is lacking and make the perfect lord. He had decided that but now felt utterly terrified. Would the catastrophe he had planned to create by harming those precious to Mumu end with just the sex of the forces of justice? Mumu's power was close to causing utter despair. Thud. He then heard the sound of someone kneeling and looked to see that it was Jia Jiang. A sect leader? The warriors of the sect were all shocked at this, and Jia Jiang pounded his head on the ground as he shouted. The sect leader of the 8 evil families Demon Blood sect swears allegiance to the Lord. The oath of allegiance was made, surprising everyone there. However, no one objected to it. If it wasn't this monster, then who would they call their lord? Thud. And immediately, Guardian Gakko knelt down as well. And the others all joined in. The Demon Blood sect swears allegiance. The sect leader of the Demon Blood sect was seated inside a room in his hall of residence alongside Mumu, Gakko, and Jia Muqian. The atmosphere was different from before. Even Guardian Gakko showed a more polite attitude to Mumu. Lord. This is the pu'er tea imported right from the Yunnan province. I don't know if it will suit your taste, but enjoy it. The anger inside him was gone, and Mumu shook his head at the words of Gakko. At this, Gakko asked him, "Is the tea not something you prefer?" "No, my adoptive father, who raised me, liked to drink tea. So I drink a lot of tea." "Then you must have good knowledge about tea." "So why?" "I feel like it will break." "Ah?" The jade plaque was hard to break, so it was fine, but... The teacup looks too delicate. At Mumu's words, Guardian Gakko bit his tongue. Did the boy refuse the tea for fear of breaking the teacup? After all, Mumu, who created the hole in the clouds, was someone not with internal energy but pure strength. Tea then, how about? No, before I head back, I have something to ask. At Mumu's words, the sect leader was puzzled. Please ask your question. If it is anything I know of, I will speak. Ah, it isn't something strange. It was something that Senior Muqian didn't know. What is that? My senior said that during the war, Musum died, and there were only 4 of my half-brothers who survived. Then what about me? That. Even the sect leader couldn't answer this. This was a topic that he wasn't sure about. Strictly speaking, the 8 evil families were like guardians to the Lord candidates. Even if he knew a lot about what happened, he had never once heard of another child surviving. He doesn't know either? Mumu couldn't help but be disappointed at the visible response. Mumu wanted to know about his mother at least. Even if he shared a father with his half-siblings, their mothers were bound to be different. Jia Jiang stroked his chin and said, "First, I would like to apologize to the Lord. I was completely unaware of your existence." Unaware? To be honest, there could be people who knew about you. Who knew about me? As you might know, many of the sects on our side were destroyed near the war's end. As far as I know, only one person who has survived may know about this. Jia Muqian was shocked at those words as he did not know of this. After the death of their leader, all the sects under the forces of justice united to attack the base of the dominating hegemony. Was there anyone who survived? Who is that? It has to be Seo Yongju, the incomparable giant. Is he alive? Jia Muqian was further shocked. Xiao Yongju was called the overlord of the west of the five guardians in the hegemony. He was also widely known as the giant due to his strength. He was the most physically powerful in their faction. Stories of his power were to the point where it was said that his predecessors and even masters in the forces of justice would have their necks blown away in one blow. It was surprising that this legend of their faction was still alive. But how could anyone? Only the sect leaders of the 8 families know about it. Jia Hyangjiang relieved the curiosity of Jia Muqian while looking at Mumu. If it is him, then he might have known what happened during the war and any secret behind the jade plaque. Mumu's expression brightened at this news. That meant that his mother's existence could still be known. Then where is he? I am sorry. But he is a great guardian whose current whereabouts are unknown. You don't know? Although he survived, he is living like a dead man. He is now in hiding to recover, and no one knows where he is. No one knows? At the end of the war, the leader of the Heavenly Killing Valley took the Great Guardian to safety, so he would be aware. And where is he? I am sorry, each of the locations of the heads of the 8 families is kept confidential in case of emergencies, so even the other members don't know. At his words, Mumu looked disappointed. This was not hope or torture, but just vague information. Jia Muqian then said to Mumu, a descendant of that sect will know. At that, even the sect leader nodded. Then in the academy? No. They aren't there? The Heavenly Killing Valley supports the young Master Mule, so they must be in the Imperial Palace. Mumu scratched his head and asked, Imperial Palace? Then if I go to the Imperial Palace, can I find them? Probably so. Then, are there any seniors who know of Mule? At Mumu's question, Jia Muqian shook his head with a puzzled face. The only people to know the exact appearance of Mule is the other plaque owners of the Mu. At the same time, in another place, Dan Pilhu clicked his tongue as he looked at the guard with a hole in his head. He had received a report that a suspicious guard was near the old building and ordered number 4 to secure him, but this was too much. The source of the attack was traced back, and it had gone through numerous obstacles. A monster. The distance from this place to the east gate was too much. Was it even possible to move like this? Considering that this was done from such a considerable distance and had killed someone was shocking. Who could do such a terrifying thing? Was this sniping? He couldn't understand how such a monster was hiding within the academy. This is troublesome. He found the spy, but now they knew nothing. And if a person who could kill people from far away like this lurked in the academy and sided with the enemy, it was even more dangerous. Mumu, maybe even that child cannot handle this.